Okay, so for the past, I think 4 or 5 weeks, I've been posting a YouTube video every week. That's been my goal. Just one YouTube video every week, a bit of a raw video as well, just off the top of my head, or just not too planned and not too edited as well. And I usually record it on a Tuesday. Today is Friday. And I would admit for the first half of the week, or basically up until even 15 minutes ago, I was going to give up on, I was going to let it slip. I was going to say, well, I can just not do one this week. I can just, 1 week won't hurt. Missing 1 week won't hurt. But I've got about a half an hour window right now, maybe even 20-minute window before basically my week ends in relation to the available time I've left to do content and business related work, because my missus, she's coming over in about 20 minutes. And then from there, we just have a really busy weekend and no time for me to do content. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm just sitting down here, clicking record, and I have no idea what this video is going to be about. So I'm going to make it about just showing up, and showing up even when it's not perfect, even when it's not planned, especially when it's not planned, and just getting it done. Like right now, this video is simply just me showing up. And I think most of the time, especially if you're a bit of a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist like myself, it's very easy to find excuses to not do something or to not show up, because we're so we're waiting for the conditions to be perfect. For me, for example, I'm waiting to have the perfect window, the perfect, half an hour spare window where I already have something planned beforehand. So all I have to do is just hit record, set up the camera, set up the microphone, and I'm ready to speak. But today, for the whole week, I haven't thought of what I'm going to speak about for my my weekly video. And usually I don't even spend too long planning it. Maybe I spend 10 minutes having a good think and writing down a few dot points and then speak off the top of my head with that. Maybe a few examples and a few things to make sure I mention. But I truly believe that something is better than nothing when it comes to most things. Now, like most principles, you can find the exception to the rule. But I even made a reel about this maybe a few days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. That's been my main focus this week, is if I can't do YouTube, I'm going to make sure I at least post a reel, but still it's no excuse. I have the time. I've just wasted a bit of it this week, which happens. You have your slow weeks and you have your off weeks, and I've had a very good 6 to 8 week run of being consistent and very productive. And this week's just been a slow week, but you can still show up imperfectly. And it's very important that you show up imperfectly, even on those weeks where maybe you only have 40% of your capacity when it comes to your energy. Like, think of it as a phone battery, yeah? Not even a phone battery, but just think about it in terms of the best you can do is 100%. And then for whatever reason, your energy is just at a 40%, well, still give that 40%, still give that 20% if all you have is 20%. And that's what I'm doing right now on this YouTube video. I'm sort of going every which way in terms of my ideas and my train of thought and getting to a point, but this is me showing up. And this video is probably going to do me more good than you. Maybe. I hope not. I hope you can actually take some value from this video. But here's what to take away from it. And I'll use two scenarios. Obviously, the first scenario is the real scenario I'm in right now, which is I'm doing the video actively. You're watching me do a video. The second scenario was choosing the option to not do a video because the excuse is I need to have a shower in like 15 minutes before my missus comes and before we start getting ready to go out for dinner tonight. Now, if that was the case, then okay, I've skipped 1 week and that's not the end of the world, but it makes it much easier to skip another week because you've sort of lost a little bit of that momentum. Now, you haven't lost all your momentum, but you've lost a little bit, which puts you in a very dangerous position where you can either bounce back really well, which is what we want to do, But if you don't bounce back straight away, which it's very easy to not bounce back and not get back into momentum, then like your momentum drops completely. And this is Newton's first law of motion that most of us would have learned in physics in school, which is an object in motion stays in motion. When you're in momentum, it's hard to stop you. What's equally as true is when you've slowed down and you've lost your momentum, it takes a long time and a lot of effort to get back into the peak of where you were maybe 2 months ago when you were in momentum, which is why it can be so frustrating. And this is why it is so frustrating when, maybe we had a really good lock-in season or period for 8 months or even 6 months. And then for whatever reason, maybe life slowed down and, things were happening and we just skipped the gym for a month, or we were just lazy for a month, for example. And then we tried to go back after a month of realizing we're being a loser. We're like, okay, it's time to lock in again. And you just can't get back to that level that you were a month prior. And it's super frustrating because you're like, well, I know I can do it, but why can't I do it now? The reason is an object in motion stays in motion. You can do it, but it's going to you're going to need to push again to get back up to that momentum. Think about a train. Yeah. Once a train's going at 300 kilometers an hour, I don't know if that's how fast they go, but let's just say they go that fast, a fast train. It's hard to stop. Even if you take your foot off the accelerator, it's still going that fast. It might drop a little bit, but as soon as you put the foot in the accelerator again, it's going to go back up to 300 pretty quickly. If that's how a train works. I don't know if there's someone pushing an accelerator on a train, but let's just use that as the analogy. But what's equally as important, as soon as that train stops, it takes a lot of energy. Think about fuel or coal. Trains don't run on coal these days, but whatever they run on, petrol or if it's electricity, I actually don't know. But it would take much more of that to get it going. Think about your car. If you've ever driven a manual car or even an automatic, it works the same. When you're going at 100 kilometers an hour, I'm not sure what that is in miles for people who aren't from Australia or from countries that use the metric system. So I think that's basically just the US. But when you're going, I think your 60 miles an hour is the equivalent to our 100 kilometers an hour. You can have it in fifth gear and you can see that your car's not using that much energy because the revs are low. They're in like the 1000 to 2000 rep range or the rev range. But once you stop at a stoplight and you're in first gear taking off, that's when you're using the most petrol because you're sort of throttling the car and you need a lot of that. And you can feel you sort of jolt back as you put your foot on the accelerator because you need to use a lot of energy to get the car back up to 100 kilometers an hour, which is fun in a car, but usually not in real life. So I think the point of this video, or the thesis of this video, is do your best to stay in momentum, especially when that means showing up imperfectly, because the imperfect retard will beat the genius who just never takes action, who's waiting for the perfect conditions that will never come, the perfect weather, the perfect time slot, the perfect idea. That will come every now and then. But I would say for 80 to 90% of the time, it's not there. It's imperfect. And the person who wins in a long haul is the one who just keeps showing up imperfectly for 10 years in a row, I would say. Probably. Think about that. Someone who shows up imperfectly for 10 years in a row, they're probably going to be very good at the thing they're showing up at. So let's commit to that, my bro. I'm going to keep showing up imperfectly with these YouTube videos, even if it ends up just being a quick 10-minute off the head, unedited video rather than my usual, I'm sitting down talking for 30 minutes and I cut it back down to like 10 to 15 minutes and cutting out all the imperfections. I'm not even going to edit this. I'm just going to chuck it up to YouTube straight away. Maybe make a cool thumbnail, not a cool one, but just a simple thumbnail. But the rep's done. I can tick it off my list of the things I do every single week consistently. And guess what? I'm feeling good now. 10 minutes. 10 minutes and 45 seconds is exactly when I started recording this microphone. I can see it on my laptop right now. And that set me up for next week. Now, next week, I'm ready to record another YouTube video. Not that you need to be ready before you go and do something, because I definitely wasn't ready before I hit record. But the whole point is just get it done. Even if you're meant to do 3 workouts this week and you end up just doing one at the end of the week and it's just 15 minutes instead of your usual 1 hour. That's better than nothing. Even though it's imperfect, just get it done. Do something. That's all I need to say to you today. Take care.